Rosanna and I were just having a chat and we're talking about the fact that the risk on vaccine-driven trade has been outperforming on hopes of a sustained solution to the pandemic. There are lots of questions though, aren't there? We don't know how durable this response is going to be. Would you be fading this or riding it?
That's a good question. And I think really the short answer to that would be to ride it in its waves, because I think the vaccine, at least in the initial stages of the rollout, the vaccine is going to be a case of 2 steps forward and 1 step back in terms of the timing of it and the interaction between inoculation and easing of the measures. But I think there will be little doubt, and markets will be quite happy to look beyond any temporary interruptions or setbacks to recognize that the vaccine will, by the end of the year, result in more or less a normalization of global travel, commerce, and most other domestic activity as well. So I think that trade will continue, and I think the additional question there really is twofold. One is how it impacts any pickup in infrastructure. Then you've got to play on the industrial versus coal that you were discussing earlier. And there's also a question about how monetary policy response will be maintained, because that would speak to the monetary base and what it means for generalized asset price inflation.
I'm really glad that you raised that last issue about how monetary policy is going to respond with regards to the reflation trade, because reflation could also mean inflation, and we're certainly seeing quite a lot of sustained moves in inflationary pressure depending on where exactly you look. Is this going to become a headache for monetary policy makers to the point where they might have to start responding in 2021?
Speaking of headache, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said depending on where you look. And I think that's going to be precisely the point. Our sense is in terms of consumer inflation, there may be some base effects from energy prices, and I think any transitory food surprises could come along. But on a sustained basis, I think demand pull inflation for consumer prices will not be the major concern, whereas asset prices running away and distortion in risk pricing, these would become issues to consider for monetary policy, especially anything considering macro stability. However, until the recovery is entrenched, I think that will be subordinated to ensuring that we have a broad and a solid recovery in place first.